Andras Yamsek says, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. There's couple accents in this, so please feel free to message me and correct me. He says, according to Marca, Gavi and Camavinga are favorites for the Golden Boy Award. Who do you think should win, and who do you think is going to fight? Or sorry, who do you think is going to win? Fight over this. Well, another question we'll bring forward to Diego. I think Diego's answer will be clear because his answer during multiple debates like Cristiano Ronaldo versus Lionel Messi or Xavi versus Modric, etc., he has never budged or has even been open to the idea of them being even equal, let alone the Real Madrid player being better. So I can already guess what Diego will say on this one. So I just thought I would look at this as objectively as possible, as not a Real Madrid fan, but as just an observer. I think Gavi contributed more to Barcelona's La Liga title, obviously, than... What a slip. I think Gavi contributed more to Barcelona's La Liga run than Camavinga contributed to Real Madrid's La Liga title. On the flip side, Camavinga contributed astronomically more to Real Madrid's Champions League title than Gavi contributed to Barcelona's European whatever it was run. I don't even know if you should call it a run or just a cameo and an exit. The reality is Gavi played 1,000 more minutes than Camavinga. Like, he was just more involved in that sense. He was playing more. Camavinga was playing less. Now, the context for that, obviously, is that Barcelona needed Gavi or a midfielder more urgently than Real Madrid needed Camavinga because they wanted to ease their new young signing into it. They already have Modric and Kroos. Plus, Fede is there. Barcelona were more of a desperate situation. Like, Gavi is kind of in that situation where Vinicius was a few years ago with Solari, where it's like a desperate situation. We need these young kids to come in and help us now. So that's part of the context of Gavi playing 1,000 more minutes than Camavinga overall, if you include all competitions. Obviously, in the Champions League, this is the interest. Here's something really interesting. If you only look at Champions League minutes, if you had to guess, like, I'll just ask this question, pause for a second, let you answer it while you're driving or cooking or whatever you're doing while you're listening to this, and answer this question, and then I'll give you the answer. Who do you think had more minutes in the Champions League this season? Was it Gavi or Camavinga? The answer is Gavi. Maybe you're not shocked about it, but I was kind of surprised about it when I saw the numbers today. And it makes sense. Gavi played in all 6 of Barcelona's Champions League games, nearly 400 minutes. And while Camavinga played in 10 Champions League games, obviously all of them were off the bench. I think all of them were. Maybe there was a start in there. I can't remember. But he only played 305 minutes. But Camavinga's 305 minutes were astronomically more significant and impactful and more clutch and more needed than Gavi's were. So, first of all, I just want to preface this by saying also, these are two really, really talented young players. Gavi has just played a lot more this past season than Camavinga has. If you wanted to ask the question about like who will be better in 3, 4, 5 years, that's a different question. I personally believe Camavinga's ceiling is much higher, but I think Gavi's going to be a really good player. If you were to look at like kind of what Gavi and Camavinga are good at, in some ways they're similar, in some ways they're dissimilar. I actually think there are going to be people tempted to say Camavinga is the more physical player. And not that you would be wrong in saying that, but one of the things I've always said about Gavi while watching him play this season is that he's strong, man. He's a strong kid. He's stronger than he looks. He's stronger than his frame shows him to be. He can win a 50-50 challenge against pretty much anyone. So he has that strength too. Camavinga is obviously better at couple obvious things. Tackles, it's a huge gap. Camavinga is basically, you could argue, the greatest tackler on earth. I mean, he's in the 99th percentile, and watching him tackle is like watching, Michael Jordan with a fadeaway. He's unbelievably good at it, and I don't think there's anyone on earth as good as him. Chouameni will come close, by the way. It'd be fun to see those guys tackle players together. So there's that. Aerial ability, obviously, it's not very close. Although Gavi, again, is pretty good in the air. It's like he's deceivingly good. Defensively, Camavinga, from a pure individual defensive perspective, I think it's better. I think Gavi is probably just a slightly better creator. You know, Camavinga will do a lot of just like good box-to-box work. But as a pure creator, I think Gavi is going to be a little bit better. If it's interesting, when you look at the expected assists, I think Camavinga is slightly higher per 90. The thing is, you can't really compare this from overall minutes because Gavi's played so much more. You have to look at it per 90. And the sample size is not huge on Camavinga to say, but like so many of their numbers are very, very similar when you sort them per 90. So obviously, Gavi has the most through balls in La Liga. That's something that maybe went under the radar this past season. He had the most through balls of any player in the league. And I think he'll be better at those certain aspects too. But if you go to it per 90, those numbers are pretty similar to Camavinga's. I think Camavinga has more key passes per 90, more progressive passes also overall, but also per 90. But he's also, but Gavi also has like more passes into the final third per 90. So it's similar, and some of the differences are slightly different here and there, but overall they're kind of, the sample size is too little to really talk about it. I don't think Camavinga's really, he's like barely crossed the threshold of analytical data because he's just played over 1,100 minutes. So I think my answer to this is that Gavi had the better season in the league. Camavinga had the better season in the Champions League. I personally value the Champions League more. I always have. I've been on the record about this many times, and that has nothing to do with Real Madrid. It has to do with the fact that I always rank players on how great they are, on how they perform when the stakes are the highest. And it just so happens that Real Madrid almost always, if you look at the trophy count anyway and just going back, Real Madrid stars typically throughout history perform when it really matters and the pressure is high, whereas other players choke and cower and hide from the occasion. Camavinga had no hiding in his repertoire this season and was instrumental in the Champions League run off the bench, as we labeled it the bench mob. He was the king of the bench mob. He was the leader of it, him and Rodrigo. So Camavinga had the better season in Europe. Gavi had the better season in the league. Camavinga, in my opinion, has a higher ceiling. Gavi is going to be awesome. They're similar in some ways, different in other ways, and we can keep an eye on it. As to who should win the Golden Boy, I think the fact that Gavi played more can tilt it in his favor, but I think Camavinga had the more memorable season, and I would give it to Camavinga. All right, now that I've made some enemies and also made some friends along the way, move on to the next one. Prexina says, hello, Keon and Diego. How do you compare Real Madrid and Barcelona's front line for the upcoming season? Would you pick a front line of Vinicius, Benzema, and Rodrigo, or Fati, Aubameyang, or maybe Lewandowski and Dembele? Thank you.